podcast, World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, is now on the air. The podcast, World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, is now on the air. Welcome to the podcast, World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, where we feature the top teachers, guides, and purveyors of true spirituality, enlightenment, and metaphysics. In this episode number 24, we meet the world-renowned teacher of A Course in Miracles, a reverend, actor, model, and best-selling author, Maria Felipe. World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, is now on the air.
We welcome you to the World Awakenings podcast. Before we start, we'd like to tell you about a special ebook written by the show's host, Carl Gruber. The Three Pillars, a simple three-step process to manifest positive and permanent change in your life. The concise 32-page Three Pillars ebook will teach you how to become a successful and consistent co-creator of your life path with the law of attraction. Yes, you can manifest the life you truly desire, and the ebook is absolutely free. Simply go to Carl's website, carlgruberlifecoach.com. That's KARLGRUBER lifecoach.com. Click on the header title About Me and get the free download today. Carl Gruber's free ebook, The Three Pillars, will positively change your life.
All right, welcome everybody back again to World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment. And this is episode number 24. And over the last couple years of doing this podcast, we have been so fortunate to have so many beautiful, I use the term light workers, teachers, instructors of A Course in Miracles. And today I am so happy to welcome yet another one of the best teachers of A Course in Miracles in the world. And I'm talking about Maria Felipe. And she is an international speaker and author of the best-selling book, Live You're Happy. We're going to be talking about that. She's a Cuban-born American. And she has, I love this, Maria, that you have a great resume because you come from an acting career and you've been in lots of national commercials. But the best part is you used to host a World Wrestling Federation show and also boxing too. And you've been a model. So welcome, a beautiful experience.
Thank you. I know. I used to be called for a while. I was a reverend, and I used to be called a reverend and an actor and a TV host. And you can only get away with that in Los Angeles, right? She's a reverend, actress, and TV host. That was my title for a long time until I found like this really deep calling to just be a teacher of God. But definitely my background in television, Carl, has really helped me to be even a better teacher because I'm just very myself and authentic when I'm in front of a lot of crowds of people, or if I'm giving a big talk. It's as if Jesus was preparing me for the call through the acting and through the TV hosting, because I feel so comfortable on camera and I feel so comfortable speaking to thousands of people, because with the World Wrestling Federation, I did shows in front of 20,000 live, 20,000.
Wow. No fear. Well, you know, we were talking off camera here. I told Maria that I have a 20-plus year career in radio as a disc jockey and production specialist. And so I'm pretty comfortable with the microphone, too. And you're right. It kind of has prepared us for our career as, teachers of A Course in Miracle and life coaches and that type of thing. I didn't mention at the introduction, you actually are a certified reverend, and you hold services at the Unity Church in Los Angeles.
Yes, that's correct, Carl. In 2012, I got ordained as a minister at Pathways of Light. Pathways of Light is a beautiful curriculum. It's actually based on the Course in Miracles. So it's basically, I call it the Course in Miracles on steroids. I call it like the Course in Miracles University. For 3 years, I studied there. It took me 3 years because I was just resisting it. It usually takes about a year and a half. And basically what it is just a beautiful platform to be able to do spiritual counseling based on the Course in Miracles, or 8-week programs of healing your inner child, or spiritual awakening programs. And they're all come from the source of A Course in Miracles. So I really love that, because the whole thing is that you have the power to heal within you, and you actually know how to heal yourself. So it's super powerful. So yes, and I also do services at Unity churches worldwide, actually now. I tour around the world, or around the United States. Unity churches are non-denominational churches. And what's beautiful about them is that they welcome the Course in Miracles teachings, and they have usually study groups every week at the churches themselves. So the teachings are very similar. So what I do is I do a talk that is like an immersion of Unity principles and Course in Miracles. And it's been very effective.
I actually go to a local Unity church in my community to go to their Saturday morning meditation classes.
Oh, so you've experienced a little bit of what they have there, right? Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it's very cool. But Maria, I have to say, I mean, this is obvious. This is March 2020, and how timely that we should come on right now when the entire world is in a pandemic over a virus, and the entire world is encompassed in fear. And my viewers and listeners, of course, have a pretty good idea about A Course in Miracles. But again, I always emphasize that A Course in Miracles is the spiritual non-dualistic teaching of unconditional love and forgiveness. This is such a unique time. I mean, none of us have ever seen a situation like this at all, ever in the world. Nothing like it before. How can our listeners and viewers utilize A Course in Miracles right now in order to overcome this fear?
That's a wonderful question. And right when you started the topic, or started to get into this question, my eyes started to well up, as you can see. And they've been progressively just swelling up. And the first thing I do is I just really feel to just put my hand on my heart and just I feel such a love, Carl, right now, to be able to be in this. It feels like a vortex with you, to be able to really extend this message at this time, especially. And the first thing that comes up for me is that my tears are more of joy, because there's something to be said about love. And that's what the Course in Miracles teaches us and gives us, is to banish the fear and encounter love. And what a beautiful message at this time, when there's so much fear, to when you practice the principles of the Course in Miracles, to really banish that fear. And that is totally possible, and come back to love. So people must say, well, that's pretty radical, and people ask me, I wrote a book about happiness. Like, how the heck am I supposed to be happy at a time like this? Right? I get it. And I think it's important to actually get really honest about that, because there's actually nothing wrong with feeling our feelings. There's nothing wrong with how we're feeling right now. If we're judgmental, if we're suffering, if, it appears in the world that something is really, really happening. And, the Course in Miracles says only love is real and all else is an illusion. So that what that is saying is that this world is not even real, although that doesn't work for me, because it appears very real. Carl, are you sitting there? Because I see you. Right? So the experience is that we're in this world, so we work within it. Right? So how it works is that you start to be in the world, and I know we've heard this before, and you recognize you're not of it. And that's the key here, is that, you're functioning in this world, and it appears there's figures coming at you and things coming at you. But with the power of the Course in Miracles is fear or love. And the truth is, it's the thoughts that are painful, Carl, not your life. That's very important. Yes. It's the thoughts that are painful and not your life, because everything stems from the thoughts that you're having. So if your thoughts are aligned to love, which I get it, it's very hard to do if somebody's passing away in your family. It's very hard to do when you see people suffering in the world. I get that. And that's okay. We get there when we get there, right? But if we can work on those thoughts, whatever within the chaos, within, I like to say, the caca, right?
I
Within the
saw that in
caca,
your book. Yeah.
which is shit, by the way, is that you start to say, wow, all right, I have been suffering for 3 days now. I'm going to give you an example. I've been suffering for 3 days. I have been watching the news. I have been, really fearful right now because of what's going on. I'm believing this. I'm starting to get worried about my finances. I'm starting to get worried about my well-being, whatever that is. And then how about if there could be a thought that maybe things could be different? What if there could be a thought that maybe you can see it differently, or you can experience it differently? Because that's available to you. Because just like the feeling like crap is available to you, feeling happy is available as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Isn't that amazing that we can actually choose
a
that?
choice. We have a choice.
Yeah. So,
well, I like what you said earlier, that each of us have an inherent power to heal ourselves. And so you also said, I believe, we're within this world, but we're not of it. With that knowledge that we have the inherent power to heal ourselves, how can somebody watching this or listening apply that right now during this chaotic time?
Well, the first thing that the Course in Miracles teaches us is that we have inner wisdom. It's inner wisdom. It could be, I call it Holy Spirit. The Course calls it the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the answer to the egoic thought system. The egoic thought system is a system of fear. It's that part of your mind that is fearful at this time, right? So the answer to that is the Holy Spirit. So what we do is that right now, as we are watching or experiencing this situation and your fear, is the first thing is the Course in Miracles says all you need is a little bit of willingness and miracles happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The miracle is a change of perception from fear to love. What I say in my book is you need big willingness. You need big, fat willingness, especially right now. And I say that just to be funny, but it's the truth. It's like, for me, I need like that big kick in the butt, because I was so addicted to being being victimized and playing the victim role, right? So the first step is, Carl, is to really have big willingness. And what does that look like? Is you got to see where you're making exceptions and where you're making compromises. So if you want to feel happy and you want to feel good, you're like, you know what? I don't want to suffer in this pandemic. I don't want to suffer right now. Then do that. What happens is that we make exceptions and we say, oh, I want to be at peace right now, Carl, right? We say, oh, I want to be at peace right now, but I'm going to watch the news, but I'm going to judge so-and-so. I want to be love right now for everyone, but I want to worry about my finances, or I want to worry about the future. So there has to be this willingness to say, you know what? This is not working for me. This freaking out is not working for me. This anxiety is not working for me. This fear is not working for me. And you have to get very honest about that and have that big willingness. And then the next step that I like to do, which is very helpful, is after I get honest, and basically you can go ahead and write down all those big deals. The big deals could be like, I'm scared of my finances. I'm scared of my family, that my family's going to suffer. I'm scared I'm not going to have food. I'm scared I'm not going to have toilet paper. Whatever that is, you put all those big deals. I'm afraid that my relationship's going to end, whatever, because this could be later on that people are watching this, right? So it's to write down all those big deals and then get really honest about them and say, wow, okay, well, this is the crap that I have in my head. I have willingness to let all these thoughts go. I have willingness to change my story. And then you call the Holy Spirit in, Carl. It's like inner wisdom. I call you in. Let me have a change of perception. Let me see this differently. I am willing to see this another way. Now, it's not like, hallelujah, hallelujah. It's not like, the angels are going to appear from the heavens. And if they do, please let us know, because Carl and I would like to know that. But there's this experience of you taking responsibility, because you need to take responsibility for your experience, because right now you're being very victimized because you're believing something is being done to you, or something is hurting you or taking away your peace. So first you need to know that you are responsible for your experience. The Course in Miracles says things are going to happen, like is happening right now, but the power that we have, Carl, is to know that we can experience it the way that we want. So do we want to experience it like, or do we want to experience it with
Yes.
choice? It's your
Mhm.
choice.
Mhm. It's interesting. I had a conversation with a friend just a couple hours ago, and her roommate, she was telling me all her roommate can talk about is this virus pandemic thing. I mean, she's constantly dwelling on and watching the news. And I mean, we all know the more she does that, the more the world is going to send to her to fear, and be
Mhm.
afraid of. And it is even possible she could get sick with it just because she's dwelling so hard on it. So the beautiful thing about this, what you're teaching, what all of the ACIM teachers and spiritual metaphysical teachers are doing is that we can practice what you're saying, that we understand that true reality is at home with our Father and the Holy Spirit, but we're within this world. So we should always say, well, if you feel like you need to take an Advil or something, go ahead. Even Gary Renard's masters, ascended masters, Art and Persa, tell him in the book, all pills are magic, but if you feel it's going to help you, go ahead. So I still encourage people, practice the spiritual teachings of A Course in Miracles, but if you're within the illusion of this life and you feel like, maybe, well, go ahead. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's funny because what was coming to mind is that this work takes work. That's what was
Mhm.
coming to me. And it's hard. I feel that sometimes we feel like this can, that it could be easy, or I don't know. I just, you're going to do an affirmation, or you're probably just going to ask Holy Spirit or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. This where I am right now in my life took a lot of practice. And I'm not saying I still don't forget, and I consistently forget and I remember again. But I think it's important to know here that it is hard, especially if you're in this world, and like you were explaining, this person, your friend's friend. And what came for me is just compassion for that person, because it's exactly perfect for her experience.
Mhm.
There's really nothing wrong with her, and there's really nothing wrong with anybody that's watching this and is suffering right now or just had a panic attack, because that's fine. Because the more that we don't judge, and the more that we just allow things to be and people to be, because everybody's in their own individual curriculum, we're serving them and we're being loving. But if we're thinking, oh, they should do this differently, they shouldn't watch the news, blah blah blah, it's not being accepting of that person's reality, and that's what they need to go through. Now, do you need to go through that? No, it could be different for you. But
Mhm.
what you say about the pill, yeah, of course. I mean, for a long time when I used to have PMS, I used to take, Midol,
Mhm.
and if I have a headache, and it's getting very bad, of course, I will take a Tylenol or an aspirin. Um, so I feel that, of course, there, like I was saying earlier, Carl, it appears that you're there, and it appears that I'm here, and we're in this world, and we function in this world, and we shouldn't feel guilty if we need certain external things
Right.
to fill us or to make us better. But
Mhm.
the whole point here that I'm trying to make is that within this dream, within this experience in the human form, we do have access to peace. Like, it's always there. So it's just a change of thought. And I know that it's hard to do, especially in the midst of it all. But also, maybe it's not the time. And it's okay. Maybe you need to suffer a little bit more. And that's fine too. But I feel like we beat ourselves up if we're suffering. So how about
Yes.
if you're suffering,
Mhm.
and you're compassionate with yourself? How about if you're suffering and you're gentle with yourself, and you're like, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to give myself 3 days. For a while I used to give myself, Carl, 3 days, like the crucifixion of Jesus, and then I used to resurrect on the third day because I was done with the suffering.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you need to make this light. It's really not a big deal. And the more that you allow yourself to be and not judge yourself, the happier you're going to be, and the easier this process is going to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons that you and I are here is to help people understand, and I'm sure that the vast majority of the world doesn't even know that they have the choice to choose peace at any time in their
Mhm.
life. So hopefully, what we're doing here, that will somebody, the little light bulb will go off over their head. Oh, I can choose peace at any time. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be in the worst place in the world, and you can still, I think, even if you look at like Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa, who was in jail for what, 20 years, and he found peace in there, and he
Mhm.
couldn't, he was locked up away, and he found peace.
Just I feel like, Carl, that just the recognition that you have had the ability to feel like crap and put yourself in feeling like crap, if you could just recognize that maybe there's the opposite of that.
Right.
you know
Yes.
so if you have the capability to go and get to the state that you're in right now, if you're in a state of turmoil, that there's also the opposite of that, which is love, and that's also accessible to you. And the Course in Miracles says, and this is a very powerful thing that the Course in Miracles says, it says happiness is your inheritance and happiness is your function. And I go on to say that happiness is your birthright. So
Hmm.
what does that mean? It means that you're born with it. It means that it exists within you no matter what you may be experiencing in the world. I remember when my book came out, people would say, "Oh, so what are you trying to say, Maria? You're trying to say podcasts." I was on maybe over 100 podcasts when my book came out.
Wow.
I remember I would get asked a lot, so Maria, can you be happy all the time? Is that what you're saying? And Carl, I literally, my jaw dropped when out of my mouth came yes, when they asked me this question. And I was like, I was trying to like take it back. And I'm like, where am I going with this? Because I hadn't written about that in my book. So I was wondering where that was coming from. And I got this experience metaphysically through channeling, was that we are happy all the time because it's our inheritance. But I said to myself, well, how could that be if I don't feel happy? So what I got is that we're transed out, we're zombies in this world. So our
Hmm.
inheritance is happiness and our function is happiness. It's just that we have forgotten. So whenever we feel disconnected, whenever we feel separated, whenever we feel we're in turmoil, what I received was we're just forgetting. But it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that it's left us. So that's why we're happy 24/7, 7 days a week, is because that happiness just sits there. It's always there. It's in our system. It's in our cells. It's in every single vortex of experience that we're having. It's just that for one hot second, we have forgotten. We have believed that we're in a pandemic. We have believed that we're getting a divorce. We have believed that we're unworthy. And we just separate from our source for a hot second. I always like to say a hot second. We have forgotten who we are. We're in the dream, but we're still under the happy umbrella
Yeah.
all the time, under this happy umbrella card, and it's huge. So what I like to say is this, and this is also very radical and powerful, is that if fear has been normal and depression and suffering has been normal, and people would say it's normal to have that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then why the F can we have the opposite of that? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week of
yeah.
happiness. Hello, welcome. And I think the whole pandemic is going to give us that, because there's
Yeah.
time for change.
Yeah.
The time has come for change.
Well,
Wow, I just went on a crazy rant there.
no, I love it. It was fantastic. I always say that, darkness may obscure light to the point where we don't see any light, but that doesn't mean the light has gone away.
It's true. Mhm.
It's always there. And eventually the rays of light are going to break through that darkness and dissipate the darkness, with the rays of light coming through. That's the beautiful thing. Light will never go away. And of course, we're talking about love and truth and oneness and everything. But gosh, we've been chatting about all this great stuff. Let's dive in. Let's find out more about your book. I'm sorry I've taken so long. It's called Live You're Happy, and it's a best-selling book right now. And I told you earlier I purchased the ebook version of your book, and I wish I had a chance to read more, but it's awesome. One nice thing that really impressed me is it must be a good book because you had some testimonials inside from two of the greatest spiritual masters in the world, Gary Renard and David Hoffmeister. And
Mhm.
I've had both of them on this show. I had the opportunity last summer because I live in Columbus, Ohio, and David Hoffmeister is originally from Cincinnati.
Mm.
And he was at home visiting his mother last summer. He invited me down, and I got to go down to his house and hang out with him a little bit. And he is the real deal. And to have those two men endorse your book tells me a lot. So what is Live Your Happy all about?
So, Carl, Live Your Happy came from a space of the message comes from my just experience in this body for, all my life being Maria, and really just being like a self-help junkie, just self-help junkie, obsessed with
Me
self-help
too.
books,
Me too.
with workshops, and not remotely feeling good.
Mhm.
That's where the message comes from with Live Your Happy. That's why it's called Live Your Happy, means let's live it. Let's live the happiness. So what happiness is, and how I describe it in the book, is happiness is obviously your inheritance and it's your function, which is something we've already talked about. But within the happiness, there's a sense of taking responsibility for your life. There's letting go of victimization, and there's really, you start to live in the world knowing that you're not of it, but at the same time recognizing that you lack nothing. So it comes from that space of me reading so many self-help books and not remotely experiencing any change. It's like I
Mm.
would feel good Monday or Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I was a hot mess, so it was I wasn't experiencing what these books were saying. And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with these books. It was just because I was lacking the the practice. I was lacking the wanting to change. I was making a lot of exceptions, and I was compromising a lot, whatever I was reading. I wasn't changing my thoughts. I was just like, oh, this is a pretty word. Let me take these thoughts on for a couple of days, but then feel like crap. So when I wrote Live Your Happy, I wanted to do several things. I wanted to make the Course in Miracles practical, and I
Mhm.
wanted to make it light and fun, because I feel that sometimes, it's taken too serious, and
Yes.
and it's too intellectual. And I also wanted to really inspire and be people's cheerleaders to get out there and do the work. Like, get out there and do the work, move your ass, the time has come. Why? Because for so long, Carl, I didn't do that. For so long, I compromised. I made exceptions. It's like, I am love. And then on Wednesday, I will be looking for love outside of myself.
Mhm.
I am abundance, and then I would be suffering about money or anything like that. It was just not consistent.
Mhm.
So when I wrote Live Your Happy, it came from this really truthful, playful, lighthearted space of how I was able to really turn things around in my life and finally live that experience of what the Course in Miracles has taught me and what all the other books have taught me. It was like there was a missing ingredient, and that's what I share in Live Your Happy, is like that missing ingredient. I feel that we are missing sometimes to put it into experience, into action. Does that make sense?
Was there a particular episode in your own life that all of a sudden you decided I just can't do this anymore, where the light bulb went off, and was it just simply picking up A Course in Miracles for the first time that was the big change, or what?
Well, Carl, I started the Course in Miracles in 1995, and I started to go to groups in 2001. I was a student for about 15, 16 years, and then I became a teacher a little bit after I had an awakening experience of where I went through a divorce in 2009, and I started to recognize that my life was filled with caca. I was just very disconnected from source.
I love your Spanish.
I told you I had to make this joyful, it's just all about the joy.
I'm good with
Um,
it.
I was going just out to bars and drinking a lot, and just having tons of different men in my life because I felt that that was going to fill me after my first marriage collapsed. And I got to the point that I recognized that if I didn't do something about this, that I was going to die.
Mhm.
I felt that I was going to die. I felt that I was under a downward spiral. I had a lot of depression, a lot of sadness. And I felt like I wasn't really living, and I felt that I was going to die. What I did is that I was actually in ministerial school at the time, and I had stopped my classes because, again, I was on this tailspin here. And I remember my brother saying to me, "Why don't you go back to ministerial school?" And I told him, "Well, I don't have the finances to do that." I remember calling Pathways and telling them that I wanted to start the program again. And I remember them generously offer me a scholarship.
Oh,
And
wow.
And I felt that that was a call. That was a very big answer from God and an answer from Spirit that this would be my journey. And I started taking the courses again, and I never looked back. And I don't think I've ever suffered to that extent ever again. I just was just so committed to becoming a minister. I became a minister not wanting to be a speaker or an author. I just wanted to heal myself because of the situation, or if not, I was going to die, obviously. So it's funny because the whole thing of being a teacher came after. But when I went to school and I was told, hey, go to the school, I said, I don't want to be a minister. I'm an actor. I'm a TV host. I don't want to be a minister or a teacher of God or do weddings or speak at churches or do this podcast right now with you. That wasn't my intention. My intention was to heal my mind. But then this whole experience of being asked to do interviews or speak at a conference started to come to me. And then I opened up to it. But I've had so much fun with it, Carl, because unlike my career as an actor, I don't really make it matter too much. I don't let it define me like I used to in acting. It's as if I just have so much fun. There's a lot of innocence in my work because I just do it because I love to do it. And it's not because it defines me. God defines me is what I've gotten to the point, is that God really defines me, and not being an author of the book defines me. Or it's just a beautiful way to be within this whole experience of myself right now, because it's as if I'm filled up, and it's as if nothing outside needs to fill me anymore. It's very interesting experience. It's beautiful.
I'd like to go back to your book again, Live Your Happy, which, like I said, I've been reading over the last couple of days. I want to ask you something that I saw interesting. I think it's in chapter 2. What are the 4 tricks of the ego?
Yeah, those are juicy. Those are juicy.
That's why.
Yeah, the ego tricks, I wrote them because I felt that these are tricks that our mind plays with us. And one of those tricks is I should have, I could have, I wish I would have done it better. It's the shoulds. That's a big ego trick. So the ego trick, what it does is like, I should have done this or I should have done that. And how does that make you feel? Like crap, obviously. And then also like about the future. Like, I hope that this happens in the future. I hope that this doesn't happen in the future. That's also an ego trick. So the ego is always, you're feeling guilty about the past. And then the ego is also tricking you into the future. So when you start to recognize that the should have, I could have, I would have doesn't serve you, because it did, obviously, because if it wasn't supposed to happen, it wouldn't have. It's like everything's exactly perfect, why suffer about it? So why the ego tricks you into suffering about something that might have happened in the past and that you should have acted differently. But the truth is, Carl, is that moment is gone.
Right.
It's still affecting you right now, and it's still affecting your sleep. Or it's even affecting your whole entire life for years, who knows how long, of where you're suffering for something that has already happened and you cannot do anything about. It's a delusion. So that's one of the ego tricks. And I think the other ones, I have to look in the book if you want to remind me. I know we have the should have, the could have.
Here. Number 1 was the shoulds. Number 2 is obsession with the past. I think you just touched.
Which I went over that. Yeah.
And number 3 is focus on the body.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, just because I feel that we do a lot of things for the body because we want to be loved, or because we want to look good, or we do things with the body because we feel lack of confidence, or, there's just a lot of guilt with the body, even sickness with the body. But when you start to see the body as a tool, as an extension of the love that you are, and use it as the tool, the body starts to be more of service than it ruling you. Than it ruling your life. So I always say, yeah, you could get on that diet, that's fine. Just why are you doing it and who are you doing it with? It's just a beautiful thing to ask yourself. Or, I'm going to the gym and ask yourself, like, why am I going to the gym? It's because I don't feel confident. Is it because, I want to feel more love because I go to the gym and my body's better? Or I'm going to the gym because it's exciting. It's fun. Oh yeah, I want to lose weight. I'm excited to lose weight. Because what happens is if you go to the gym and you lose the weight, and it's because of self-confidence reasons, that lack of self-confidence is still going to be there, because you haven't got to the root of it. Because the root of it is not really the body. The root of it is that you feel genuinely unworthy because you feel that you separated from the mind of love and God. So
Mhm.
when you start to do things with love and with Holy Spirit, it's different the experience. Like right now, I'm actually on a diet. I'm on a vegan diet right now with no alcohol, sugar, or I'm drinking a little bit of coffee. But it's very powerful for me because I'm really excited about doing it. And what happens is that when I'm doing this diet, how it appears for me is as if I'm more of a channel because I don't have anything messing with my nervous system.
Mhm. Right.
That's my experience of it. But I don't do it because, I want to lose weight, even though I'm excited I'm losing weight and my face is glowing, I love it. But those are just like the effects of it. But I always have to ask myself, why am I doing this? And this body's to extend love.
Well, here's my take on focus on the body, and I agree with you. Yeah, if you focus on the body, where it's the be all end all, but I go running literally every day of the week outside, and I've been doing it for decades. And the way I look at it is, if you can stay fit and healthy and do the necessary things to keep yourself feeling healthy and in a sense of well-being, knowing that we are just here within this body, we know that this is a dream life. Well, if you can do those things, it helps you at least to, within this dream of the life, to live it as well as possible. And
Yes.
generally, excellent health and fitness correlate to a happier, longer, healthier life. And so if we're going to be stuck here within this body, within this dream, why not do that in order to enjoy the journey as much as you can?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
That's
but you're not claiming the body as the be all end all. If I can't go out
Mhm.
for a run and, I'm not going to be depressed about it or anything. But so you can take that perspective. I look at the body, mind, and spirit, and all three of those, if you can build a solid foundation, and I call them pillars, the three pillars. And if you can build a solid foundation for all three of those, I think, is enjoying the journey more, even though we understand we're just dreaming this life and we're really at home with our Father. So
Yeah, I think it's just important to discern, Carl. The Course in Miracles is all about discerning, fear and love, like also discerning, what makes you feel good, what makes you excited. If working out, gives you that excitement, it feels peaceful, it feels good, then it's probably a good idea to do that. If it brings you anxiety, if you feel like you don't really want to do it, but you have to do it, then that's something to look at. So you need to kind of discern for yourself how things feel, or just really tune in. One of my exercises would be, to sit down and ask spirit. I can't stress enough journaling and asking spirit for guidance. I'll journal questions like, um I feel off today, spirit. I feel overwhelmed. What's the truth here? And then I would ask spirit to reveal that to me. And maybe sometimes some of you might not get anything. You might write, I'm not getting anything, I'm frustrated. Because it's like working out, it's also a muscle. It's like a spiritual muscle in your mind of connecting to spirit. So my whole work is really giving the participants the opportunity to really know that the power to heal is within them, and that you have it in you. I do workshops all over the world, Carl, of where I sit people and they channel people that have never done that before. They tell me, oh, Maria, what should I do in this situation? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm not you, but I know that you know. So I sit you down and I put you in a relaxed state, and you channel and you give yourself your answer. That's how powerful we are. We
wow.
just don't use that tool.
Yeah.
But if you sit down with spirit, you can just close your eyes. I can work on it with you right now, Carl. Take me a second. You want me to work on it with you?
Sure.
Close your eyes. And you just have to, you ask a question. Yeah, you just close your eyes.
Okay.
And then you have a question for anything? I'm just curious about anything in particular.
What can I do to help those around me in my personal life to feel more at peace with the current chaos of the pandemic?
All right. So first, you're going to keep your eyes closed like you're doing right now. And the first thing we're going to do is take a few deep breaths here. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. One of them is, what are you? And you're going to repeat love. So Carl, what are you?
On love.
And I'm going to ask you, where are you? And you're going to say, in the mind of love.
In the mind of love.
Mm-hmm. And then the question is also, what else am I making real that's not that, right? So
What
it's what
else
you just
am I
said,
making real?
which is what you just said, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's like this anxiety around people around you and friends, right? So that's what you're making real. That's not love, right? So you gotta get honest about that first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right there's a lot coming, right? So just take a deep breath. And now you're going to ask Spirit, what is really real here? And you're going to let me know what you get.
Spirit, what is really real here? Should I give you what I hear?
Mm-hmm.
It's intuitive. What is really real here is there is only love. And then love always overcometh fear.
Mm.
And no matter how I express that to those people around me, whether they're spiritual or not, the way will be given to me to speak to them so that they understand what I just said.
Mm. Take that in your heart, Carl. It was so beautiful. Let's take a deep breath there. And just in gratitude for Spirit for that channeling. When you're ready, you could open your eyes when you're ready.
Wow. That was really cool because the Holy Spirit always speaks to us in a quiet, gentle manner like a breeze. All we have to do is listen.
It brings me tears, Carl, just because you said it's very intuitive, and that's true. It's the intuitive. It's natural. Especially you've been doing this work for a while, so you're open. I've also seen people that are not very open, and they have the same experience because Spirit is very powerful when you're willing. But you opened up, and when you see this video, you'll see how at first you were like, what's happening here? Like, what are we going to do here? And I was actually a little bit like that too, because I didn't know that was coming. I didn't know I was going to ask you that. So I love how Spirit worked it. And what I got also from your channeling, Carl, was this whole thing of being that. It's like it starts with you. So it was like this message also behind it, and you'll hear it when you see yourself. It was as if Spirit's saying, just be that light, and it's contagious, and then the words will come, but there's nothing wrong with them. Do you know what I mean? It was so cool. What was your experience? I'm curious.
Very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Very peaceful. And it's kind of funny, and I know you know the story of Helen Schuchman, the scribe of A Course in Miracles. And Helen never really completely accepted her assignment to be the channeler of the modern spiritual guide. And one time Helen asked Jesus, "Why me?" And he said, "Because you'll do it." And it's kind of like I've asked the same thing of the Holy Spirit. Why are you having me be a light worker? And I've heard that same thing, because you'll do it, Carl. So, and I'm sure the same with you too. So, I'm not going to take up much more time of yours. I know we've been chatting. This is great chat, man. Thank you so much, Maria. We didn't hit on that fourth ego trick. Your happiness is out there. That's a good one. Can you chat about that for a moment?
Yeah, the fourth ego trick is your happiness is out there, and that's the big one. That's the big ego trick. That's the disguise of the ego, and we're constantly looking for being fulfilled outside of ourselves, for things outside to complete us. And I think we've heard this many times. Our happiness is not out there, but in my book, I just really get down and happy instead of down and dirty. I get down and happy with that topic of that we are just tranced out by this society, and again zombied out, and believing that our source is outside of ourselves, and the ego is constantly going to kind of mesmerize you with rubies and stones, and just give you like this whole fairy tale thing, and which is fine. And I'm not saying for you not to like or want things from outside. On the outside there's nothing wrong with that, But my whole thing is just careful. What are you doing? Like, careful what you're doing. Like, just be mindful of how you are looking for this to complete you, and looking for stuff outside of yourself to make you happy. What's powerful with this work is that you start to live true happiness, of where you recognize that that you're already fulfilled, and that everything else outside is just a bonus. It's just extra, you know. I say in my book at the beginning, Carl, and we can probably wrap it up with this. I say at the beginning of the book that this book will make you happy. And that's a really big thing to say, just because, I want to sell books. But the truth is that, yeah, of course I would love to sell books, but at the same time, I want this book to be helpful, and I want the truth to come out, because I suffered for so long without not knowing that truth. And that was the biggest lie for me, is that my happiness is out there, because I looked for happiness in men. I looked happiness in my career as an actor. I looked for happiness in money. So when I say this book won't make you happy, Carl, is because the book could never give it to you. I can't give it to you what you already have already. And that's what I have the reader recognize, is that you have it already. This book reminds you of it, but this book could never give it to you, because it's yours. It's your inheritance. It's your function. It's your birthright. Isn't that exciting news?
That is beautiful. And of course, again, we've been talking to the amazing Maria Felipe. If you go to her website, mariafelipe.org, right? mariafelipe.org. People can go on there. They can click links to buy your books. You do individual and group counseling and coaching, right?
I do. I do coaching, spiritual counseling. My coaching is very based on hearing inner wisdom and giving yourself your own answers. So I really am your coach on understanding that the power to heal is within you. I work with people monthly. I work with people weekly. I also do individual sessions. And I also work with people's budgets, but people can look on my website about that. But this is a very unique counseling sessions, because it's based on the Course in Miracles teachings. So it's very, very specific, and it works with your intuition, and you actually do the work of healing yourself.
I know. I just found out.
You just saw it for yourself. Yeah. But let me tell you, Carl, I work with so many people, and it's just beautiful to experience them after the session, how free they are, how free I am. It's like this huge healing happens in the session. It's so, I can't express it enough, how powerful and healing these sessions are. Also, I have Live Your Happy. I produced it myself. I produced the audiobook myself. So it's available as Audible, and I highly encourage the audio version of it, because it's just nice to hear while you're walking your dog or cooking and whatnot. I'm just into the audiobook right now of Byron Katie, one of her audiobooks. And I just feel that audiobooks are so helpful, You can get that. You can look that up on my site as well.
Awesome. And you don't need to go on real long about this, but, this is the 24th episode of World Awakenings, a fast track to enlightenment. And I have asked this question of every single one of my guests. Why now more than ever do you think the population of the world is awakening to all things enlightening and spiritual?
Well, the time has come, Carl. The time has come. We've been, again, just transed out, zombied out, not really living to the capability that we could live, which is this happiness that I'm talking about here on this episode. It's as if the time has come to live it, because that suffering and that feeling like caca and poo-poo, for so long, it's like, that's already old school. It's like the time has come to start to choose a new way of experiencing life, new thoughts, new beliefs, and to start to really recognize that you've never left the mind of God. The time has come.
And that is a real beautiful message in this current time of chaos, global chaos. So, Maria Felipe, thank you. I'm so honored to have you on the show. Thank you.
Carl.
It means so much to me. And I know our viewers and listeners are going to really enjoy this. Namaste.
Namaste, brother. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Live your happy.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber, a certified Law of Attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in each and every episode of this podcast, World Awakenings. as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that all the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things metaphysical and spiritual, and just how they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment everyday life. Much love and light to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in.